Today I'm going for a little expedition out to Bondi'S Big Rock. You just walk off the platform at North Bondi. The tide here, it was high tide about an hour ago. So even on like a 1 or 2 foot day, this is a little bit impassable on a high tide. But here it's all about the timing. Ah, yes. Water's a little fresh. The wave on the way in. We're just going to keep walking up the rock platform here. I've surfed here like for many years now, and this is very sedate for Bondi, but it does take a bit of timing with the water. Maybe get a little bit soggy, but I've been out here many times and people have just been sucked out by this rip, and I've had to help them get back in. I'm just trying to time this high tide. Oh, here we go. Still a bit sore from the city to surf. Okay. It's not a lower tide. There's no problems getting along here. A few barnacles. But on a summer's day, this would be full of people. And even sometimes I'm amazed when I'm surfing out there, I'll be sitting there a bit further in and people will attempt to get across here. And I'm like, I wouldn't do it. Up here's the boat ramp. So even as, well, it's probably as short as 2 or 3 weeks ago, had a guy, he got sucked out the back. So me and another person from the life-saving club, we just paddled him over to this boat ramp. So when all your other options are gone on a bigger day and you can't paddle the person in, which I've done before, I've tried to get them into the impact zone, have the waves push us all the way in, and then the rip will just grab you again and drag you back out. So when it's like bigger and a bit crazy, your other option is to go up this boat ramp. So you kind of, it's against logic because you feels like you're going more into danger, but the head of the rip stops here. Oh, and deposits you up here. Sometimes you feel like there's a little bit of a sub rip that wants to keep dragging you out to Ben Buckler, but unfortunately I think it'd have to be crazy big. And I think it was high tide on that rescue, so the guy, you know, we had to kind of like time it so the waves pushed us onto the ramp, and they were coming from over there, but a lot easier than trying to paddle against the rip. As you know, if you watch my channel, North Bondi has a special place in my heart, and so I thought I'd show you some special features. So this is the boat ramp, and probably nearly 10 years ago now, unfortunately I did see a gentleman pass away here, and he was put here while the ambulance came. You can do more rock hopping, let's do that. You can, oh, there's a crab. You can go up and around the stairs, but let's just drag this out a bit, okay? And I'm a bit tender from the city to surf and a few little things going on, but and another thing up here is they call it flat rock, and there's quite a flat area of rock coming up, and that is because, so the people that passed away that day, the guy was hit by a massive wave and held under. So you really have to be careful, but it doesn't stop a lot of kids on big days jumping off flat rock into the surf. Local kids know what they're doing a bit more, and every year when your kids get out of in Australia, primary school, they graduate year 6, 6th class. On the last day, they come down here and they all jump in, all the local schools. It's a bit of a tradition. So I've done it twice with my kids. And the second one, I jumped on in, as parents do, and didn't have a ration on, and then sort of got sucked down the platform, and big barnacle scrape on my chest. I got a head injury up in another whirlpool up here for about 38 stitches in my head. So you'd think I'd stay away from this place, but I love it. I don't really hang out on the rocks up here that much though, I must say. So we're just making our way to Bondi'S, Rock of Gibraltar, also known as Big Rock, also known as Mermaid Rock. I was out here a couple of weeks ago. If you look on my channel, this whole rock was a massive swell, and it was just getting hit by waves, and it was completely submerged at times, which is quite staggering because it's like 15 foot tall. So because the tides dropped, I can get up there and read you the plaque on it and give you a bit of history. You can tell that this is actually, sorry, that's a lie. I thought it looked like low tide. It's actually high tide and we're dropping. So it's only high tide, as I said, about an hour ago. But over there is the platform. They also call it, the lifeguards and the locals call it the cheese grater, for reasons I've explained, because if you do get taken off balance and you mess it up, mess the timing up, you end up bouncing along the cheese grater, and it's all these little barnacles. Some big barnacles. I'll go and show them to you. And a lot of people report to the lifeguard tower, and it's like someone getting a cheese grater and just grating off your skin. So I'm going to try and do this all in one take here and see if we can get over to Flack Rock. And there's heaps of features in the eastern suburbs. There's a little wave there coming through. On the GoPro, never quite gives you the full experience, does it? It's a bit reductive. But you can see it's just a flat platform over there. Let's see if I can get over there. Yeah. Whenever I watch videos like this, like, it doesn't look that bad. What are you complaining about, mate? But the main experience I want to give you is the barnacles. You can kind of see some of the bigger ones here. These big ones, they're not the worry. It's the little ones, the little scummy ones. Hang on. So this is what I call the main section of the flat rock up here. Get up there, and it's these little barnacles, these little shitty ones. And I've actually been hit in the head. The one where I got the big stitches was a massive one. That's in the whirlpool over there. Have a look here, and you can see these little hostile barnacles that want to eat your face. Here comes a wave. One of the rules is you should never really turn your back on the ocean, which I just did. But this now, the tide's dropped, there's less chance of being washed away. And there's a couple of guys fishing up there, so I knew that it was getting easier to access. Now I've got to time my way back out of here. Let's not fuck this up, hang on. Let's go this way. It's not a long distance, but it's a bit slimy. And just got to be careful. There's not that much moss around, that slimy, mossy stuff. That's the stuff that trips you up. So here comes another wave. I'm going to run across here. Now, yay. And then on a good day, like when it catches someone, they'll just go from there and they'll get just bounced all the way along this reef, end up down there. Unfortunately, the guy who lost his life, he was up near the, on a big day, up near the Bondi Rock, and it just took him, it must have knocked him out. Him and his wife, she survived, and then he was trapped and found somewhere around here. Anyway, let's stay away from that story, because I was surfing that day and we saw him there, and I couldn't surf anymore after a while because it just felt bad. I can't, you know, I can't surf when someone's grieving and something bad's happened to someone. So let's get back to the pleasant facts of this area. And it's good today to do this video because I always feel a bit weird talking to myself into a camera, but there's no one around except for this guy fishing. Go, mate. And then I'm gonna keep proceeding up here to our destination, and I might give you a little side quest of where I actually hurt myself that time. Probably one of the stupidest things I did when I was 40, just before my son was born, my eldest son. But you know, here we go, here's a nice wave. See, that came out of nowhere. It just creeps up on you. You can never underestimate the ocean, especially these bigger waves. These freaky ones, or when the tide's shifting. Hopefully this white noise is not killing the audio too much. But especially when you're surfing, you really have to know how, somewhere like Tamarama, the next beach up, you have to know how to time it so you don't get destroyed by an incoming set. But it's often more efficient to use the rips, to use rock platforms. Not long now, we're still on our quest. A few local aviators here on these rocks. The ubiquitous Australian Seagull International. Now, gonna go up here. This guy's trying to get up the platform. You alright? You get up? I'll let him pass. You want to go past? There's more pooling there.
Thank you.
No worries, mate. Yeah, so a couple of fishermen. Now this stuff here, you've got to be really careful of. It's so slimy. That's why he was being extra cautious. I did a video where it over heights in the secret path there on the cliff, which is hard to get to and really quite dangerous, and it was all like this. But then there was like a, you know, between 6 and 20 foot drop next to me. Okay, let's go down here. Look how slimy this shit is. But that's nature, baby. I'm a guest. So, here it is. Our destination. But what I'll do is I'll go to my side quest first. Right, but that's where we're going in a second. And see if we can get over here and show you what's up. So when I was 40, me and a friend came out here, and I had a Sony Z1 camera light. This is about 2006, and my brother-in-law at the time, I got him to, and we thought it was a great camera, but it was, the picture wasn't that good, it was overexposed. It was a Sony, but it still looked like shit, and outside you needed to have the right filters. And we thought, oh, 720p resolution. But we did get some good footage that day, but the white balance would just blow out, which just means it looks very, you know, bright and overexposed. Anyway, he was over here somewhere, and a friend of mine and I decided to, there's a channel over there, I'll look at it in a second, and I went swimming in there for a while, and he was taking pictures of me, and it should have been a signal because my feet were getting all cut up by barnacles. But you know, then we thought, oh, we'll ride this Lilo. So a bodyboard is, you know, like a solid foam bodyboard, boogie board, what do you want to call it. Lilo is filled with air. Buoyancy properties are different. So with a Lilo, you can't really punch through a wave. So I've been very used to having ridden bodyboards for a long time, just punching through a wave when it comes. So this area here really hollows out. It really gets shallow on a low tide, and then a bigger wave comes in, I don't know, 3 or 4 foot, but you have to know how to deal with it, otherwise you're going to get slammed against the rocks. And so normally with a bodyboard you would just grab that and punch through the wave. Right now you punch through the wall of that wave, you pierce through it, and you're good. Lila is very buoyant, so what happened on this day is the wave picked me up, turned me around, smashed my head into the rocks, and when I touched it, and I've got this all on video for another YouTube, stand by for that one. I've always been reluctant to show that video because I didn't want to like monetize my pain and stupidity, but I kind of feel like I can now for some reason. The trauma's gone, and it's a lesson to other morons like me. But yeah, the physics was entirely different. I didn't anticipate the situation, and I ended up, you know, I thought, when I looked at my, or felt my scalp, I thought I had a lacerated, it was a lacerated scalp, but I thought it was my brain. That's how bad it was. Anyway, I thought I was going to have to get a skin graft and have neck issues, and luckily a lot of stitches, a lot of stupidity and self-reflection, and I was okay in the end. That was a long time ago now, 18 years ago. Now look at all these, all the way up to this little area where I nearly bought it. I can't go on too long because we're going to run out of battery. See all this? But you can't really see it. Let's go here out of the shadow. All these barnacles, and then the ones in where I hit on that wall over there are probably twice the size. So it's, ooh, and they're painful to go across. If people are watching you and you're trying to rock off, then it adds to the humiliation and danger and invigoration. There's a bit of rock art there. Splash, poopy splash. So I'll just try and give you a better angle on this so you can see how idiotic I was. So there's a rock just there, which at the time, it must have been low tide. Here comes a bigger wave. Always keeping an eye on the surf. Oh, and I've got bare feet, so this stuff just feels fantastic. Look at that one. Put your foot on that. Here comes another big wave. And I would say lifeguards are probably keeping an eye on me now. There's another big one. So this hole here, after this set, or maybe this one, you can see what it's doing, right? So on the day it was much lower. It must have been low tide. So I came over here with my lilo. My other mate had already been riding it. He had a hat on and he wasn't stupid like me. And he'd been riding it, and we were pretty much just, so I jumped in here on that rock. There we go. And then I was riding the wave like that as it was bashing against that whirlpool with the lilo, and we were having a great time just dicing with death, and people were watching us and thinking it was so cool. You know, it was all this all before YouTube. This kind of activity and stunts became what you call fashionable. I really don't want to get too close, but yeah, so I'd ride this in, bang, and then at some point the wave deposited me just down the bottom of this wall, and so then another wave came, so I tried to punch through. The wave turned me around and smashed me into that wall. What an idiot. Then I felt my head and I was like, oh my God, I think I've nearly killed myself. And then we paddled out there, someone got the IRB in, and we went in. First thing I said is, no Bondi rescue. Here comes another wave. Hang on, I'm gonna get out of here. See, there's a bigger one. And I saw that one. I knew that was going to be sketchy, so I cleared out. All right, so the guided tour continues. So if I kept going that way, and there is another whole mission I wanted to do one day, was you can rock hop all the way from here to Watson's Bay. But that's another whole mission which I've forgotten about. So I'll come back here. And there's literally me and 2 fishermen on this platform. I think the high tide is just keeping people away. I might even go for a dip at the end of this video. Another bad story was a guy who came from the surf club, came down here one day, just dove into the water and basically broke his neck immediately, passed away. All right, no more horror stories. The lesson is just got to be careful. You just never know what's going to happen. You've got to know your equipment, the conditions. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. If you change one thing in your habits or a new piece of gear, what happens with skydivers and base jumpers, you know, those guys, they change one piece of equipment, one habit, one routine, and they can pay dearly for it. Here comes another big ass wave. So camera apparently turned itself off because it was too hot. We're filling up the data and using the battery. So here's the thing about this rock. Look at the size of it. It weighs 235 tons. It appeared here after a storm, cyclonic storm, with winds of up to 122 kilometers an hour in 1912. So it's like 110 years ago. I don't think we're going to get any closer. There's the other channel where I was fucking around with the lilo and nearly killed myself and was washing up here. I do have video of that somewhere. Today, because we're on limited time, I don't think I will climb up this thing. You can see water coming in. And you can imagine a week ago, 2 weeks ago, the water was totally obscuring this rock, so you wouldn't want to be sitting here. Anyway, what happened was they put the plaque on there, which tells you it weighs 235 tons. Whoa! They put that on there in about, what, 30 years later. And then in the 1960s, they put up 2 mermaids here. And they were very famous mermaids. And then another storm came along, and then one mermaid was very severely damaged, and the other one disappeared forever. So somewhere around here is a mermaid. And then the one was removed, the one that was actually still adhered to the rock, and it was put in storage for 20 years, and then I think someone found it, got it out, and now it's in the Waverley Library in Sydney, in Bondi Junction, New South Wales, and you can see it, the one of the 2 original mermaids. You know, I think they should try and find the other mermaid. Do you notice then this massive river of white water just went past and now it's gone? Like, because that's how unpredictable this environment is. But the other thing about this, and I'll try and finish this before the battery runs out, is that some people are saying, well, that's just bullshit. A guy wrote a whole book on how he thought that the rock came from up here somewhere. And I've looked at that, but I just, in my head, can't reconcile. If this is the original, like if the rock didn't roll and somehow become inverted, but whatever the shape, I can't reconcile that came from there, right? But what's also equally and more challenging is I find it hard, no matter how big the swell is, that the swell could lift up a 235 ton boulder and deposit it on Bondi Beach. But that's what they think. And if you look down at Huskisson and regions down south of Sydney, Jarvis Bay, around there's lots of evidence of a long time ago a massive tsunami with like a 100-foot wave, you know, brought all the debris from the ocean and deposited it, and all the geologists have studied that area and the deposits of matter that came from the ocean, and you know, at a great distance into that area down south, the south coast. So maybe there's a point where, I think it's all limestone, right, that it becomes so saturated with water that it becomes buoyant, and they think that there are, maybe I'll have to do another video on this, but there's actual track marks from where the bock was bouncing along. And then other people saying, no, I remember when I was a kid I used to change behind that rock and it's always been there. And then other people say, that's bullshit, that was another rock that got washed away, and this rock is a superstar and it just got deposited here in 1922. Either way, it's an amazing story. I love this area. I love how different it is, how much part of my life and how much I've risked here, and how much I've learned from it. Here comes another big wave. And It's one of the reasons I enjoy living in Sydney, because I grew up in the country. And to me, being able to get here and get away from the crowds is just a gift. And it's something you can do easily in the country, but you can't do it in the big city. But fortunately, Sydney being a fantastic cap city, look at that one. You're able to get, you know, to a beach in basically a national park in a remote area that's 8 kilometers from a major city in Australia. Anyway, look, maybe another day we'll come in here when it's calmer, we'll go closer, I might try and climb the thing and give you a bit more detail about it. But that's just one of the fascinating features of North Bondi, my favorite place in Sydney, special place in my heart. And hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff, and I'll be bringing you more content soon. This is Blaze Hackman, over and out.